don't worry, I'm not gonna do what everyone thinks I'm gonna do and just praise Pixar for 5 minutes. Although I could do that. But here's the shocker. I'm not a big fan of The Incredibles. It's like the only Pixar movie I didn't fall in love with. Well, that and Cars, but Cars isn't even a movie. It's like a Pixar commercial for Pixar toys. Speaking of things that aren't that great but are produced to make a shitload of money anyway, this is a video game based on a movie. It's The Incredibles, Rise of the Underminer. So this game was released in 2005, the year after The Incredibles hit theaters. And as you might expect, it came to virtually every platform imaginable at the time, including the Game Boy Advance, which is the version we're playing here. And on the GBA, it's a 2D platformer with 3 worlds and about twice as many enemies. So that's the kind of game it's gonna be. You play as both Mr. Incredible and Frozone, switching between them whenever you need to. So it's a tag team platformer, kind of like Donkey Kong Country, with a lot less awesome included. Anyway, the game picks up right after the events of the film, with the Underminer showing up and being a real jerk about things. Short story shorter, it's time to button mash. Well, obviously, each character's different. Mr. Incredible's the powerhouse of the two, so he's able to lift heavy gates and smash stuff, while Frozone is faster and more nimble. He can also freeze enemies in their steps. Oh, and he can pretty much fly across the levels when he wants to. He can make steps out of ice. But hey, Mr. Incredible sure is a big guy. Point is, even though it's a tag team platformer, it's kind of not. You spend about 90% of the game as Frozone. You only switch to Mr. Incredible when he has to lift something heavy or smash a computer. Otherwise, he's basically useless. And for a game in which repetition's a serious problem, making one of its 2 characters a situational character seems like kind of a bad move. Speaking of repetition, though, holy shit, this game's repetitive! You get the same handful of enemies repeatedly over the game's 3 different worlds. That's it. There are 3 worlds. There's an ice world, a factory, and a more different factory. And each one has the same enemies, which you attack the same way over and over until you realize, wait, why am I even playing this? I could be doing any number of things. Like drawing dragons. So the game's really short and shallow, but it's not like what's there is any good. Controls are just adequate at best. There's some rough hit detection, which makes the platforming more difficult than it should be. The game doesn't look terrible, but since there are only 3 environments, the levels all feel exactly the same. I mean, these licensed games are usually pretty rushed, but this actually feels like it was half of a game, unfinished, rushed to the market for the holidays. That's the only thing about this game that's incredible. Very young players might get a bit of a kick out of it, but even they'll probably ask where Cartridge 2 is. Spoiler alert, kids, there is no Cartridge 2 in Rise of the Underminer.